Welcome to our morning show today from WRCO Radio. We have some more community guests, some good friends of the radio studios here. A new friend, in fact. We have Mayor Todd Coppernoll here, and the new zoning administrator, Matt Williams, will join us here in just a little bit. Mayor Todd, good to see you this month.
Hey, Phil, thanks for having me back on.
Good to have you here, and we had a little spring since the last time you were here officially.
Right, yeah.
Maybe that doesn't feel like it today, but people got to be in good moods now, right?
Better, definitely better. Yeah, the official first day of spring passed, and just going by the weather, spring has been and gone about 3 times, which leaves about 6 to go. Okay, before it stay. We all know how Wisconsin works.
Have you kept track of how many snows have been on the Robin's back?
I actually lost track, but I'll bet you my father-in-law has that number at the house. I'll bet Bernie does.
We'll have to call him.
That's right.
So what's up? Anything new you'd like to talk about here?
Yeah, there's a lot going on. First of all, we just, as everywhere else did, we just completed the election. Went really well here. I think everybody's glad the political ads will be off the air for a little while. We were just talking about that. But the election, as far as I've heard here, was seamless, and I'm glad to hear that. Thank you to everyone who worked the election for us and to everyone who turned out to vote, of course. So that's behind us. We'll talk with Matt in a little bit here about what's been going on in the city. Zoning's been at the forefront of late. We've talked on the air about the Panorama Estates apartment project. I've spoke to the developer about 2 weeks ago, and they're waiting for one more approval from the state on their blueprint, which shouldn't be a big deal, but they do have to get that. And then it's get down, get all the permits pulled, get the utility guys up to speed, the building inspector ready to go, and start digging. And that's 2 buildings. 46 apartments apiece, so a total of 92, and they'll do the foundation for the first building and then begin the foundation for the second building. So there won't be this huge lag. The agreement was updated from its original script, which called for several, I think there were 7 years left before building 3 was due, and now they're both coming together, and we like that a lot. I don't see any reason that won't go. And then last month, the city council approved annexation of 20 acres into the city in the area near the Starlight 14 Drive-In movie. That does not affect the Starlight 14 Drive-In at all. As far as its future there, that's got nothing to do with that at all. It's just the land there around that was annexed into the city, about 20 acres. Then on the council agenda for April 15th, there's another group that wants to annex 12 more acres, and that's up above Rainbow Drive. If you went up Allison Park, if you took Sunset Lane, just keep going straight, you'll see that Sunset becomes Cardinal Lane. Continue just a little further up the hill, look to your left, and you'll see the fire hydrant in the woods that was placed there, I believe, 18 years ago when the Wheat family, Bob and Rosalie, initially began the project. They just didn't complete it. And a different group, Mike Lamont and Ellen Keller Evans, have purchased that land, have annexed it now, or will be, into the city. It's up to the council to vote that in, but that's the expectation anyway at this point. So exciting stuff, and their intent up there is to build maybe 20 to 22 houses up there on that hill, and they're going to be, what they tell me, they want to do 0-step houses, so no stairs anywhere. And the point of that is a 22-year-old could live in that house, or a 92-year-old could live in that house, and that's what we're trying to do, and that's what they're trying to do. And all of that, when you come to annex anything of that nature, you deal with the zoning administrator, Mr. Matt Williams, and he's also heavily involved, had to be and will be, in Panorama and in another project that I'm going to announce later in the program that Matt hasn't even heard yet. I just heard it yesterday. So I think at this point, I'd like to find out what Matt's been up to.
Sounds good. Well, good morning, Matt. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me, Phil. I appreciate it.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I grew up in the area all my life. So been in the area. I kind of know quite a few people in the area as well. So it's kind of in the blood, I guess. So.
Mm-hmm. So it's been a little bit since we've had the official zoning administrator. So you're getting caught up on some things?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a learning experience. I started August of last year, and it's definitely, I've learned a lot. I've met a lot of great people in my ventures, and it's just a learning experience for a lot of people. I've heard throughout the couple last months that certain people don't know what permits they need, if they need them. The good thing now is I am there full time. I'm there Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. So anybody that has any questions are more than able to pick up the phone, call me, or email me, and we can go from there.
Can you give us some examples of things that maybe people don't even think of that they really need to talk with zoning about?
Sure. So if you're going to build a deck off the back of your house, front of your house, that would need a permit. If you're going to do a fence around your yard, that will need a permit. If you're going to even reconstruct a deck or reconstruct a fence, that needs a permit as well. And that's just to make sure that, you're getting your setbacks correct. You're not intruding on your neighbor's property. When you're building decks or structures, we want to make sure that's up to the UDC code. We want to make sure, obviously that is compliant and safe for the community, in the future. So
I'll give you one on this one. That's a great point. Before Matt was hired, a friend of mine who's lived in town his whole life was adding a deck on his house. I think he was actually replacing the old one. And he had already found a contractor, and it's a contractor with years of experience. And I said, hey, you got a permit for that, right? And I got, what, I need a permit? Now, this was a lifelong resident who had a long-term contractor in tow, and neither of them had approached the city for a permit. And so they did, and it was constructed properly. But what we saved them from, and this is where oh, geez, I need a permit. Oh, no. There's benefit to the homeowner as well, because the way that builder was going to construct the deck, it would not have been compliant with state law, because the state had changed the law, and he missed that change. He just wasn't aware. So what you could run into if it's done incorrectly because somebody just didn't know or went too fast, well, what if a building inspector showed up for any reason they needed to be up there, and they told you, by the way, you got to rip that deck back off your house because it wasn't built in compliance with state statute. That's a big part of Matt's job. It isn't just make you get a permit, it's help you complete your project.
Yeah, when you get ready to sell your house, if that time comes, you need everything to be on the up and up too, don't you?
Yes, that's correct. When they get an inspector in there to inspect the house for the buyer, if things aren't up to code, that can hinder a sale for the house. So definitely it's a benefit, for the health, safety, and welfare of the community. It's just not, like Todd said, it's not demanding or anything. It's just to look out for the community and look out for the residents of the community. So
is there a possibility of getting a fine if you don't comply?
Yeah, so if you start, we call it after the fact fee. So it's usually double the permit fee plus the fee itself. So, we try to work with everybody. If it's obvious that it was pulled and, you didn't know, I'd like to work with people and just kind of educate them and let them know maybe going forward or future projects, reach out and definitely I can help out with that. So I want to make sure that, we're compliant as a community, but also we're doing it the correct way.
I could see it happening, though, too, where, maybe you really thought you knew where your property lines were, and all of a sudden they do infringe on somebody else's. That could be bad.
Yeah, and a lot of the property disputes, so I'm not a legal surveyor. So, for people to want to know where their lot lines are, I always suggest to get a survey done, and that's the best way. That's the most accurate way that you can justify where your property line is, and you can plan your project accordingly.
I'm sure you've gotten to know the streets in and out of Richland Center. Mayor Todd mentioned Rainbow Drive. You probably know where all these places are now, don't you?
Yeah. It's, I've been out on quite a few of them, and so they're kind of getting a little bit better for me to remember, and so, yeah.
It's exciting news when he talks about expansion and people buying extra land. People always talk about Richland Center. It stays the same size or whatever, but this is optimism for the future.
Yes, it's very exciting with all these annexations. It's good growth for the city of Richland Center and the surrounding area as well. It's just not the city. There's townships around that are going to benefit and have benefited from the city of Richland Center and the growth that Richland Center has had.
Mm-hmm. Is this something that you saw yourself getting into when you were a youngster?
Not really, no. No, I didn't. When it came up, I kind of really thought maybe this could be something I'd be interested in, and I love it. I completely enjoy it. Everybody down at City Hall, they're great to work with. Everybody's always willing to help you out, answer any questions that you have. Like I said, I'm new at this. I'm not perfect by no means, but I have a great backing at the town hall. So
So, a lot of your listeners, Phil, they'll know Mr. Ken Theed, who, of course, taught in Richland Center High School for a very long time. I was a junior in high school when Ken came here, so that's how long. And I asked him about Matt Williams before we hired him. You got to get references. And Ken said he was a good kid back then, and he's a pretty good man now. And I figure if Ken likes you, you got something on the ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's good. Did you learn from Mr. Theed then? Did you?
Absolutely, yes.
Good.
Yes, Mr. Theed was a very instrumental part of my high school career. So,
If people want to get a hold of you, is it best to make an appointment, or what's the best way to do it?
So I'm open pretty much, like I said, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. You can call the City Hall building, 608-647-3466, or my email is matt.williams at richlandcenter.wi.gov, and I can return phone calls. Like I said, I'm usually in the office. Sometimes I do step out to check on job sites and whatnot, but leave a message and I'll get back to you.
Right. No question is too crazy, right?
No, not at all.
What if they were going to put up a Mayor Todd statue or something like that? Would they have to get permission for that then?
Yeah, absolutely. We'd have to find out a place to put that.
Yeah, I think a few residents have a suggestion. There was one behind a porta potty.
Yeah, that's right. Anything you want to add to our conversation here with Matt today?
Well, we still have Matt. I think I'm going to do these statistics while you're here
Sure.
because you actually gave them to me. Okay, so this is get up close to your radios, grab a pen. This is important stuff, okay? We're going to get into some real details of what it takes to build a city and what the challenges are unique maybe to Richland Center and, in fact, Richland County. I say a lot on the air. I use the term net new construction. That's state law. So to add money to the general fund for the city or the county without raising taxes, the one means that municipalities have is new construction. So that can be a new house, a new commercial building. But to Matt's point too, when you pull your building permit, you do things right and work with him. Adding a bedroom counts, adding a deck counts. These things that were new construction. So siding on a house doesn't change the construction of the house, but a deck does. Things like that. So those things are by law, by state law, for 15 years now. That's what we have to try to get more money to spend on things like police, fire, streets, things like that, without going to the taxpayers again. So I say a lot that Richland Center is the only small city in a small county, which it is. I'll challenge you again to look at a state map and look at the counties and look at the land mass Richland County has compared to any county we border. We're tiny, okay? And we have one city, one. Look at all of them in Sauk County. Look at all of them in Grant County. We have one, and our one city is 5,100 people. So Richland Center has to do a lot of lifting, and Richland County has to do a lot for itself because we're small, okay? And they're not going to come out here and redraw the county. So I say there's a lot of floodplain here that you can't build on or is highly restricted. I talk about the steep hills we're surrounded by, which are gorgeous, and they add to the experience of living here or visiting here, but they inhibit growth because it's very expensive to build up and over a hill, and we wouldn't want them to anyway. Our wooded hillsides are our calling card here. So Ashley Oliphant, our city administrator, actually asked Mr. Williams here, asked Matt to pull some numbers on this because we've been trying to find a way to really fully communicate with the people of what these challenges are like. And here's what Matt came back with. Excuse me. So the city of Richland Center is comprised of 2790.4 total acres in the city limits of Richland Center. Of the 2790, 1,072.6 acres are floodplain. So what I just told you is 38.4% of the acreage within the city of Richland Center has been designated as floodplain, and that's done by FEMA at the federal level, which means there's nothing the city, county, or state government can do to change that designation. The federal government said it's floodplain. So floodplain either can't be built on or has heavy restrictions as to what you can build. So maybe say that one more time. 38.4% of all acreage in the city of Richland Center has been designated as floodplain. So understand when we say how challenging it is to build here. And stay with me because I'm not telling you the sky is falling. I'm going to tell you how we're changing the perception and the view taken by the city to build within these challenges to get the success we need. Okay, again, 2,790.4 acres in the city limits, and I just told you 1,072.6 of those acres are floodplain. So let's go down here. Here's another number. 911.36 acres, 911.36 of our 2,790 have no improvements on them. They're non-taxable. So what does that mean? So property tax is the means the state prescribes to pay most of our bills. You pay your taxes on your home, your business, and the city gets some of the money, and the county does, the schools do, and Southwest Tech does, and that's what those entities use. That's their primary funding source to keep the streets going, pay the cops, and on down the list. The clerks, the treasurers, pay Mr. Williams' salary, and so forth on down the list. So we have 32.66 of this city has no improvements. That means they don't pay property tax. So what does that mean? The city owns it, the county owns it, a 501c3 nonprofit owns it, maybe it's a church, maybe it's a school. Am I saying we don't need city buildings, county buildings, churches, schools, or nonprofits? I'm not saying that. I'm saying that's the best illustration I've seen yet of the point I'm making, that we are one small city and one small county. Because we are the county seat, city-owned property and county-owned property primarily exist in the city of Richland Center. We have, per capita, a pretty high percentage, a pretty high number of churches here. I'm not opposed to that. I'm pointing out, when you put city buildings, county buildings, church properties, nonprofits, schools in one place, because we have one city to house all of this, it knocks out 32.66% of our land is sitting there with what they call no improvements, no property tax. So what did I just tell you? 67.34%, essentially 2/3 of our acreage is lifting the whole load for everything. Okay? 18,000 people in a county, 5,100 people in its only city. So we're small to start with, and then 1/3 of what we have is not paying property tax. Don't blame anyone for that. Don't be angry at anyone for that. That's not the point. The point is we cannot miss opportunities when buildable land comes available. When somebody tears down a house and an empty lot stays there, that hurts every single taxpayer in this city and in this county and in this school district, because you just lowered the taxable value of your community, and that is the means by which we raise money. Okay, so when a house goes down and somebody says, I'd like to buy that and have a bigger lawn, on behalf of the city, the county, and the schools, that is a bad answer. Mr. Williams, in your job down there now, you've been here, when did you start?
August last year.
So yeah, several months now. So you pulled these numbers. What do you have to say about this? Where did you find this information?
So this was on our GIS mapping. We were able to pull information from multiple different areas out of that program. The weird statistic about this is, like Todd said, is even the existing homes that are in the floodplain or fringe, it is very restrictive on what people can do there, and it can get very costly as well. So it does really hurt our city, but it's not anything we can really do about it. So like Todd said, any opportunity we have to get land annexed in or have a buildable lot, that's huge for the city. So
yeah, and again, so what do we talk about? What's the most expensive part of new building? It's infrastructure. It's the street with curb and gutter. It's electric, sewer, and water. So if you had a house or commercial structure in an existing neighborhood where the streets are there, maybe storm sewers in, water, sewer, and electric's there, and you don't develop it, or you leave it, just as a bigger lawn or whatever you do, that's even worse, because to go get new land, which we need to do, and we're doing it now, and people should be very excited about that, but it's a lot more expensive because you have to put all that infrastructure in there, and we're talking millions of dollars here, guys. Street with curb and gutter, the numbers are unbelievable at how expensive it's gotten. So utilizing what we have should always be the first choice, and then adding to what that is right there too. So I guess I'm just pointing out, As you drive through town, when you see where a house was and now a house is not, that was not a win for this community.
Yeah, very well said. I'm wondering too. You mentioned the numbers of homes and properties in the floodplain. Did that change drastically when the dike came through all those years ago?
Actually, that saved our bacon. So Orange Street was floodplain, which means none of those old buildings. Those of us of a certain age, Phil, we can remember when Orange Street was pretty worn out, pretty run down, and Congress Street, that area nearest the river. It's because it had been designated floodplain. You can't make improvements. It's so restricted that those buildings really couldn't do anything but age, which is sad. It's the people who live there didn't do that. It just what happens when you're in a floodplain. So the dike going in changed the designation. So where the Phoenix Center is, and AutoZone, Quick Trip, on down, Dialysis Center, TechCom, and so forth down that street, they couldn't have been built. Okay, so and then the Wedgwood neighborhood as well. There had been some change too because the dike went in. That couldn't have been built. And think about Richland Center without the development on Orange Street and without the Wedgwood neighborhood. Oh, man. So huge, eternal tip of the cap to Darlow. Mr. Darlow Wentz and those that were on the city council and working for the city at the time, and then those that immediately followed, I'd say the next couple of mayors, next few city councils, because it wasn't done overnight. But the fight to do it, that was Darlow. There is no question, there never will be. He stood in there and took it hard from people who opposed it because it was a major change. And without it, can you even imagine? Think of the rain we had in 2016, 17, and 18. 3 consecutive years, the water had gotten about a foot below the deck at the footbridge. Take that dike out and picture downtown. 3 years in a row, okay? So that's why it's the best example we have. It's not easy to change for anybody, and we always look back to what was so fondly. I do it too. But if you never change, you will fail. And that was a hard change to make, and it took years to get it done, and it brought us the Orange Street corridor, which I know we're not done, but look at how much is done, and it brought us the Wedgwood neighborhood, and we're not done yet.
An exciting time, Matt, I think, in your office, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, a lot of changes going on and all positive. So it's very exciting.
Great. Well, good to meet you today.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you coming in here. We'll have more with Mayor Todd Coppernoll, Matt Williams, the new zoning administrator, with us for the first part of the morning show. And Todd has promised a big announcement when we come back here with more on the morning show. Mayor Todd Coppernoll, our guest in the Morning Show studios for his monthly visit. Good to have him along. Thank you for listening this morning here on WRCO Radio. Todd, you always hint at the possibility of some announcements. About every month you're like, well, there's something in the works, but I can't say.
Yeah.
There's something in the works, but I can't say.
Right.
This time it sounds like you can say.
I can say. I just heard this yesterday. I was downtown putting gas in the UTV. Kim and I went out for a ride, and a local gentleman, he's local now, he's not originally from here, that I just met in the last few weeks, approached me, and that was Mr. Frederick Heater, and that is spelled Heater, just like a furnace. It goes by Rick. Rick Heater is the new director at Neighborhood Housing Services at NHS. I don't know if he's been down here yet, Phil.
He's coming Thursday.
Well, guess what he's going to tell you, Phil? NHS has accepted a counteroffer to purchase the BMO Harris Bank building in downtown Richland Center, previously known as Valley Bank, and for many years before that, the Farmers and Merchants Bank. It's the stone building at the corner of Church Street and Central Avenue. And Mr. Williams, who was just on with us at zoning, will be hearing from them because they want to rezone that. I won't spill. I'll let him do that. He's coming in a couple of days. So what they intend to put in there, but it's exciting stuff. The building's been empty, I don't know, about 5 years or so now, something like that anyhow. And they've got an accepted counteroffer. So they're going to want to rezone. So that Matt that was just on with us, if you haven't met Rick yet, Matt, you will soon. And I was really excited to hear that. This new gentleman they brought in, he's not from the area, but Rick, if Rick has a drawback, it's that he wants to do too many things too fast, which is a really interesting change of pace, right? This guy's got ideas left, right, left. He's going to see me. He's going to be waiting for me when I get to the mayor's office after this show. And it's been rapid fire. What about this? What about that? And how do we do this one over here? So an aggressive approach coming from Neighborhood Housing Services, which is really exciting, actually. And they're buying the bank building to make good use of it, too. I think the community will be happy with their intent down there. So there you go, guys. Not a maybe. It came right from the source. So
yeah, that's great.
I was aware of another group that had toured the bank building twice and also had developed a pretty interesting idea. And they are hearing this I'm sure they're sitting there right now going, what did he just say? Because I didn't have a chance I wasn't going to warn them before I said it on here, but they listen to the show every time. So had another really interesting idea, but now how do they fund that and how fast could they go? So I guess what I want the community to take away from all of this, I've said several times, opportunities were here that hadn't always been, and groups, businesses too, and investment groups and individuals are looking at Richland Center in a different light than what we'd experienced for a while. And they want to do things here and bring things here and build things here. And the challenge, I just went through the challenges with how much floodplain we have and this and that and the other thing that kind of make the community unique, and they're just what we work within. But I'm 100% sincere. There are opportunities out there that weren't there 5 years ago. I was the first elected mayor, I think 5 years ago today. And when I first started, these calls weren't coming. And they are now, and I'm not the only one getting these calls. So it's exciting, we got to stay on it. The point of all of this is we have to stay on it. Nobody's going to come to Richland Center or Richland County with a bucket of money and say, won't you please take this? It's work. And it takes this work to get the growth we must get to sustain this community. And that's the work that this community is getting from its city government. And this one, we can't take credit for it all. This is NHS. I didn't even know they were looking at the building. They didn't tell me, and that's fine. But they didn't say we're looking at it. They say we're buying it. Mm-hmm. So we like that.
Well, that's exciting. I mean, a lot of us have been talking about that for a while, what it could be or what it should be, or it's just sad that it's sitting empty, that grandiose of a building. So it's going to be a real highlight for the downtown, whatever goes in there.
Well, and a really interesting element here. So Rick is not from Richland Center, but the board of directors over there, I think everybody is, or at least has lived here a long time, however you want to look at that. So the history there, they will know. So it's a blend of what you do with it now with don't forget what it was. And I love the approach because you can't leave it the way it was and utilize the building. It's a stone building filled with marble. I mean, that's hard to work with, right? That's hard to renovate. So I have no doubt that bank you remember from your youth is not going to look the way it did on the inside once they're done, because it can't, because it isn't going to be a bank. But that doesn't mean everything you remember goes away. It just means they have to work within that and make it something new. And I think we'll find this out, but I think the blend of the new high energy idea guy with the board of directors that was in that bank, as they were coming up living here, will benefit both sides of that. There'll probably be something for the people that say remember when, but the primary thing is it'll be a 21st century opportunity for the community.
Mm-hmm. Revitalize the downtown even more a little bit.
Yeah, it will, and I'm excited about that. We've done a lot of work downtown. We were able to help get a grant that enabled the expansion at the Richland Locker, which has been a huge hit. We were able to help get a grant that Los Amigos is currently using as they intend to expand. We're working on a grant that would help another local family bring a business into the old Gables restaurant building down there. All of that. Now we have the bank building coming. You got to understand, some people kind of get a little worried and say, geez, the town was bypassed when 14 went in, and that's not accurate at all. The downtown was extended when Highway 14 moved, because don't forget, Main Street's also a state highway. Highway 80, and if you didn't know this, Main Street coming up through the Seminary anyway, right through the downtown, gets more traffic every day than Orange Street does anyway, because it's a natural way home for most of our residents, whereas Orange Street is not, because it ends at the park. So, but getting Orange Street down there too, I just said it, AutoZone, Quick Trip, bowling alley, dialysis. Now, remember when the dialysis center went up, that moved the pharmacy into the downtown. That's a win for downtown. And when the TechCom building went in, the credit union left their little drive-through set up in Mobile Mart, and they moved right on the highway into the downtown. That's a win for the downtown, right? Another one there, and I mentioned the Quick Trip getting built over there. The bowling alleys downtown wasn't always there. It wasn't even in town. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've had quite a few wins in the downtown community in recent years, and you can see that. I mean, is everything perfect? No. Are there challenges down there? Yes. Are we aware of them? Of course. But there are things down there, a lot of things down there that weren't there 10 years ago. There's a lot of them. When I moved back here in 2016, I'd come home from work in the evening a lot. 6:15, 6:30, there'd be a half a dozen cars downtown, and they were all at the press box. There's a lot more traffic down there than that because there's a lot more going on than there was. And there's more coming. And now we're going to have something new in the bank building, and, we're working on something else the city's trying to help get done again on the Orange Street corridor. So we'll see, Matt. We'll see, Phil.
At the outset of the program, you talked about the annexation of more land, and I was curious, you mentioned out by the outdoor as well. Is that strictly for residents, or is that commercial buildings, or can you say?
Well, I'll say this. The owners of the property in that respect, I think, are pretty open-minded to... honestly, this is really encouraging because I've spoken to them myself. This isn't conjecture. They want what's best for this community, and that's the intent, to get things in here that help this community. And that's what's happened. This is awesome, guys. These conversations weren't there. They are now. What can we do? How do we get there? Because it is a we. Look, guys, watch the news at every election. It's an endless parade of referendums. That is not going to end because the state law calls for that. Okay, everybody knows how many school referendums, but it isn't just schools, and it isn't just places like, you might say, Richland Center, and try the woe is me game, which won't work on me. I'm warning you right now. Why are they doing referendums in Reedsburg then? I thought that was utopia. Why are they doing them in Baraboo? I'll tell you why, because their budget's underwater. That's why, in Baraboo and in Reedsburg. Why did Madison just do a $22 million referendum? Oh, my goodness. I thought it was just us. No, it's every place in Wisconsin because we're working with the same laws. Okay, and that's how you have to do things if you need to get more money, because, as we all know, inflation just ran red hot for years. If it happened in your house, it happened in City Hall, it happened in the courthouse, it happened in the school districts. They got to pay the bills too. So referendum after referendum. And we have to work to stay ahead of this game. Okay, so get wins for the community, stuff that's sustainable for the community, stuff that doesn't take tax levy dollars to support it, because that's where you run into the trouble, right? When inflation goes up, just running squad cars got more expensive, right? Plowing streets got more expensive. The things you have to do got more expensive, all right? So you gotta pay those bills. Do you think, ask yourself this, forget it's my voice, ask your inner voice. Do you believe the tax rate, the tax base in Richland Center, new growth tax base in Richland Center, kept up with the rate of inflation in the last 4 years? You know it didn't, which means it didn't in the county either, and it didn't in any of these other municipalities either, which is why they're in the same position. Okay, so what do you do about it? You find ways to grow that don't take tax dollars to support them. And that takes private investment. And that takes us. And us is what's been showing up in City Hall with a different attitude and a different outlook. And how can we do this? And that's why some of these things are starting to happen with multiple annexations, with a group coming in here going, hey, we have a great plan for that bank building. Let's get it moving. And this is just an exciting time. It's a ton of work, but we're not afraid of that work. Patience is a virtue. None of us like to be patient. I hate it. I want to come down here every month and tell Phil about the 16 things they're going to build tomorrow night, but it doesn't go that way. Success comes after sustained effort. Just working it. There's a win. Work it. There's a win. And we're in a cycle like that right now, and it's just a fun time to be part of it.
I've talked to a couple of people recently that talk about their kids, and they would move back here in a heartbeat if they could find a house, suitable housing, and hopefully that does change with some of these things too.
Well, so take these 3 points, Phil. That I'm so glad you said that. 92 new apartments, and they're really nice apartments, about to break ground. Will this spring, this summer. We're working on a development. Let's just call it 20 houses, single family houses. Okay, we're working toward that. We're working on the land annexation right now. NHS, which stands for Neighborhood Housing Services, the middle word, of course, was housing, brought in an aggressive go-getter to be their new director. And he's not asking me how or where. He's like, Todd, let me tell you what we're doing. And he's coming down to see me again today, and I don't know what I'm going to hear, because every time it's like, hang on, wait a minute. Hold it. Well, which 5 did you... Okay, aggressive nature toward improving the community, and that's what we need to do. So watch for that, and we do believe that we'll have more adequate housing. Richland Center's housing stock really got behind the times. There's not a maybe here. I'm sorry, I don't have the numbers here. It's a very high percentage of our homes were built before World War II. I don't remember the number. It's for a community our size, it's scary high. And that's where, when you say young people, they're not, that's the problem. They're not looking for a house that's been there for 90 years, 100 years. They're looking for what their generation wants, like we all did. And we just didn't have much of it because it had. That's why the consistent effort. That's why no matter who the mayor is, no matter who's on the city council and so forth, county board too. That's why as the people come and go, the effort can't change. Okay, and this is why every single election I come down here and say, hey, how about running for office? How about that? How about getting yourself in the game? Because in the city of Richland Center, 8 human beings, 8 of them, your elected older persons on your city council, not mine any more than yours, they vote yes or they vote no on what does or does not happen with the city. That's it. I vote if there's a tie. Otherwise, that's it. That means those positions are critically important. And the county board, too. You should be embarrassed if a county board seat, if a city council seat, if a school board seat has no candidates, because those people will spend millions of dollars per year of all of our money, and they will make the decisions on where that does go and where that does not go. And if people don't care any more than that, than to let a seat sit open so that somebody can literally walk in because somebody got them 5 votes, we have a critical problem. Please engage. Please join the effort. It's your hometown. It's your county. We are doing this, and you can be part of that process.
Another building in the area, we're told that Taco Bell will be getting a new building here before too long.
That's right, and I see we still have Mr. Williams on board, Mr. Zoning Guy. Tell me about what Taco Bell wants to do.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it looks like just from a little bit of phone calls that I received in the last week or so, they're going to be demolishing the existing building, and they're going to be constructing a new building. Not sure exactly what their plans are, if it's going to be another Taco Bell or a mixed restaurant like it was before. I'm not unsure of that, but my understanding was the bids are going to be due April 8th. So hopefully we hear more in the near future.
So they'll be closing here in a little bit, it sounds like.
Yep.
Henry Bray will be in mourning then. So. We'll be back with the final portion of the morning show next. Mayor Todd Coppernoll, our guest on the morning show, our final portion of the program today. You mentioned about people running for office, and I believe there is an opening on city council.
Yep, we had a resignation in District 3. District 3 is the Allison Park neighborhood. It is the folks out by the fairgrounds, the mobile homes out there. It is the neighborhood kind of around the cemetery there, and then coming down towards St. Mary's Church there, that part of town. And we did have a resignation, so there's a year left on that term. So the city council will be appointing an older person to fill the last year left on that term, and then that seat would then be up for election next year in April. So if you're interested in being considered for that seat, we put it out there that you could let me know. You can go to the clerk's office too in City Hall, or you can just call me 608-604-5399, 608-604-5399. If you live in District 3 and would like to be considered for appointment to the City Council. I've heard from one individual who has interest at this point. I don't know if the City Clerk's office has gotten any additional inquiries or not. I'll find that out in about 10 minutes when I drive down there. But we do have one interested party, and the council will take that up. We put a deadline on it of May 5th to let us know, and then at the May City Council meeting then, my anticipation then is that the council will do the appointment at that time.
Okay, that's good to know. On down the road here, we're getting into the NFL draft. That's going to be held in Green Bay. I don't know if Richland County is going to benefit, but almost the whole state seems like people are going to be staying out quite far and wide because there's nowhere to stay in Green Bay.
It's really interesting. I did get a phone call last night from a local resident. Mr. Marty Richards has declared himself eligible for the NFL draft.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
He did. Well, and I talked to him about it. He was kind of embarrassed that he hadn't thought of it back in the 80s, when he was coming out of school. But he just didn't know the rules. You can't blame a guy. He just didn't know how to do it. So he never told the NFL, right? So he admits he's going to be less time with the grandkids if he goes pro at this point, but why not take a shot, right? So he's letting them all know. And from what you told me, Marty was one of the best special teams fill-in guys that Ithaca ever had. Is that not true?
No, I think I was that.
You were that?
He was a little better than me.
A little better than you? Maybe on the kick coverage in like 81.
Yeah, fall of 81 would have been his last night.
So I'm thinking the skills have still got to be there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's had the knee replaced, so that's not an issue anymore.
Sure.
So he let him know he's working on some tape to get up there real quick. The draft's just a few weeks away. So we all want to wish Marty Richards, Ithaca Bulldogs, with the best in his pursuit of an NFL career.
Yeah, we'll see where that goes.
I think we can guess where that goes, but we're still wishing him the best. I mean, it takes nerve at this point, but go get him, Marty.
Yeah. Well, I have a feeling, he's pretty busy with his tourism gigs, so he's probably got a few things there in the fire that's probably going to get in the way of the NFL career.
He is, yeah, that it might, but I guess what he said to me is you can't win if you don't get in. So he let him know, and he's always got a phrase. Marty's good with words like that.
Oh, sure.
He's really excited about this, but the tourism thing is there. If they don't call him.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. He's got that to fall back on.
Wonderful. All right.
Well, you had lots of things to talk about today.
It was a good one. Yeah. No doubt we do. Good information from zoning for our residents and trying to help people understand what the challenges are here, not to fear them when we talk about floodplain and we talk about, non-taxable properties. Don't be afraid of that. Understand what that means is when we get a chance to build, we need to do it where we can. And what's that going to mean in the future? Building up, not out. So think about things like residential over retail or multi-story residential or whatever, that kind of stuff, because we're just not going to wake up and find another 100 acres of buildable land. It's just not going to come to us. So utilize what you have, and they call that population density. More people and more businesses in less space. It's an imperative here. We can't move the hills or the river, nor would we want to. So I just want the public to understand why we talk about the things we do and why we're approaching things the way we are. It's because we live where we live, and we have to do it for ourselves. Look, we just have to do it for ourselves. The money, let's be really honest, the money goes to Milwaukee, Madison. The cities get the money, okay? That's just, if you can tell me you don't agree, it's reality. I don't think that's going to change tomorrow night. So we got to do the work internally here. We got to get the local people to believe in the place and do the lifting, and that's happening. So I just love the opportunity, Phil, to come down here and share this with the people. I think it's critically important that the folks out there hear from their people, from their elected people, on what we're working on and why we're doing it. And it's been very hard. It's been very hard to move things from where they were to where they are. A lot of people deserve credit. This isn't a Todd thing, it's an us thing. There's a lot of us doing a lot of hard work, and we're seeing some results, and everybody wishes the results would come faster, including me. But you can't deny the wins that we've had. And when you look and see one group annex 20 acres, another one 12 acres, and then another group, we're going to buy the bank building, rezone it, and put something cool in there. All right. Now people can maybe look for themselves and go, yeah, we're winning some games here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. You'll be in your office again today?
Yeah, so I'm leaving right now to go down to City Hall, and I will have NHS in there for a meeting right now. But then I've got some open time this afternoon, of course. If anybody wants to come down and see me, just do it. I'd love to meet you.
Sounds good. Mayor Todd Coppernoll, our guest on the morning show for his monthly visit. Earlier, zoning administrator Matt Williams in the morning show studios here at WRCO.